Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/mother-in-laws from hell. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, reading some comments, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Intelligent Talk 929. Mother-in-law didn't feed my 3-year-old. The day before Mother's Day, my daughter slept over with her grandma. I sent her along with a lunch bag full of snacks and some cereal. She loved starting her day with a little bowl to fill her tummy quickly. We called in the morning to make sure she had her cereal, and my mother-in-law said no, she didn't want it. Anyways, told my husband to tell her to try offering her a real breakfast. For context, my daughter usually has cereal while I make a big breakfast for her, so we asked mother-in-law to do the same. And she said yes. We call back around lunch, and my mother-in-law said she had some yogurt and popcorn. And again, we tell her she needs real food, and popcorn is a choking hazard. My mother-in-law said, well, she's alive, which just felt super condescending. Mind you, my mother-in-law loves cooking and making sure everyone is fed, so this felt very strange. Anyways, we say again, please feed her some lunch. She had some leftovers, which was perfect. When we arrived around 3 to pick up our daughter, she didn't have lunch either, but she said she ate everything in the lunch bag. I go to the bag, and it's full. I don't know how to go about this with my mother-in-law. I just know it's not right. When we got there, my daughter was having full-blown meltdowns, and I felt so sad because I know it could have been prevented if she had eaten proper food. My daughter loves to eat, and she's a pretty good eater, especially for being 3. My daughter was so hungry her stomach was hurting. Also, my mother-in-law just turned 50. She is young, so this is not a case of old age or being forgetful. Edit, my mother-in-law has been amazing with my daughter. This is the first bad experience, and that's why I'm struggling a bit to understand what happened. Comment from user WildMidnight1347. Mother-in-law should never, I repeat, never, be allowed to be alone with your daughter. Mother-in-law is endangering her. No food? Not good. Mother-in-law gave her a potential choking food, and mother-in-law's response is, well, she's alive. If this was me, I would have ripped mother-in-law a new one at that very moment. Mother-in-law gave you half-assed attitude about your daughter's safety. Next time, it may be, well, she's not alive. You and your husband are risking the child's safety of your daughter, allowing mother-in-law to be alone with your daughter. You need to end this practice now. Mother-in-law will probably throw a fit, so tell me what you want. Mother-in-law is happy to have your daughter alone, which could result in serious injury or worse, or a daughter safe from harm. Just so you fully understand, if you send daughter to mother-in-law in the future, anything that happens to your daughter will be on you and your husband, so you will have to live with it. It's harsh in my opinion, but it drives the message home. The next comment I want to look at is from Pineapples and Puppies. Why would she tell you that your daughter ate everything in her lunch bag only to leave the bag full? She lied about something you could so easily disprove. No unsupervised visits for a long time. Additionally, she could have also just emptied the bag out, so I have so many questions about that. KEYZ responds to Pineapples and Puppies with, this would bother me too. I'd bring it up to my husband. Why do you think she would say that daughter ate everything in the lunch bag and then give us the still full lunch bag? Does she think we won't notice? Does she think we're stupid? Does she think we would just let it go despite all the evidence that she didn't feed our child all day? Why do you think your mother did that? It would have been so easy to empty that bag before they picked up said child, and no one would have been the wiser. She didn't even attempt to cover up the lie. That's actually exactly what I said. I think that makes this malicious and, therefore, dangerous. She ignores basic principles for caring for a small child with zero regard for them finding out the truth. And then there's an unfortunate comment from Jean Cerise. I am so sorry if I read that name incorrectly. I ask this gently. Is your daughter overweight and your mother-in-law was taking it upon herself, wrongly so, to curb her eating? Emotional Boulder 24 responds, this was my first thought too. Not that it's right for her to do it, but that may have been her thought process, which is 1000% wrong. Babies need to eat and grow. Either way, I wouldn't have my mother-in-law watching my child ever again. Not feeding a 3-year-old? That's torture. I like these 3 comments because there was something at the original post that bothered me. And that was the fact that mother-in-law usually is very quick to feed everyone. That she loves cooking. And when her granddaughter's visiting, it's yogurt and popcorn? 2 very low-calorie foods, that really bothered me. In addition to the lies about the bag. And I feel like the 3 comments that I specifically chose, including the additional response to pineapples and puppies, kind of helped paint a picture that at least made sense to me. This is a danger to your daughter, and if you allow your mother-in-law to continue this behavior, you're responsible for it. Followed by, it doesn't make any sense for her to give the sack of lunch back when it was completely full, and that would be such an easy thing to lie about. So why do it? And then ending with the unfortunate potential that there's a chance that she's trying to control the weight of the granddaughter, which breaks my goddamn heart to hear. They're 3. They're a child. If the child's hungry, their body be clamoring for nutrients. Give it to them. I know from pictures that I was a chubby baby, and then, I'm 6'3.5", 6'4" now, if my posture's proper. So, give that child their nutrients. Long jump step 450. My mother-in-law's outdated baby carrying tactics almost killed our newborn. Possible trigger warning. My husband and I have a newborn baby girl who came home after 2 weeks in the newborn intensive care unit. I got pregnant. We were working and living abroad, and during that, his mother moved into the apartment. He only asked her to lightly maintain with housekeeping while he was away. When we moved back home towards the end of my pregnancy, so we could be closer to family, I thought she was going to move out because there wouldn't be enough space for all of us in that apartment. But she insisted that she needed to be there to help with her granddaughter, and since my husband never puts his foot down with her, she stayed. Since bringing our daughter back home, she's been crossing a lot of boundaries that I've hit my limit with. I spoke to my husband about this, and he stated that his mom had more experiences with babies than we did, so we should trust her. I was trying to, but her methods are so outdated. It was hard to. The last incident that made me leave the house with my newborn baby. My mother-in-law, who had since moved herself into the master bedroom, kept taking our daughter out of her bassinet while we were all sleeping to put her in my mother-in-law's bed. I would often wake up to hear my baby screaming, which would make me anxious, but when I would look for her in her bassinet, she would never be there. She would be in my mother-in-law's room. On top of that, the baby would be laying on her stomach, asleep, or buried in thousands of pillows she has in her bed. I told her that pediatricians recommend against everything she was doing because of SIDS. But she scoffed and told me how both of her babies slept in the same way 20 years ago, and they were fine. After the first few times, I was worried, so I purchased an owlet sock and had it monitoring my baby's oxygen levels while she was sleeping, so that no matter where she was in the house, I would know if she was okay or not. One morning, I woke up to an alert on my phone that told me my baby's oxygen levels were dropping, and fast. I ran to the bassinet to get her, but of course, she wasn't there. When I tried to go into my mother-in-law's room, the door was locked. I knocked on the door and called out to her to ask her if she had the baby. She didn't reply at first, so I began banging on the door loudly, all while my phone kept alerting me that my baby's oxygen levels kept dropping lower and lower. When she finally opened the door, I ran past her while she complained about me waking her up with dramatics and noises so early in the morning. I initially couldn't find my baby in the bed amongst all the pillows and blankets, so I carefully began taking everything off the bed. I finally found my baby nestled deep under the blankets, and when I picked her up, the huge couple of air she took in her little lungs made me break down into tears. I went back into the room where my husband was sleeping, and my mother-in-law followed me in to wake my husband up and complain about me not really wanting to help with the baby. And from now on, if I came to take the baby from her too early, she would not help me with the baby for the rest of the day. I told her how she almost killed the baby and why I had came into her room in the first place. Then she rolled her eyes and left the room, accusing me of being dramatic, and told my husband I possibly had postpartum mania. I told my husband, "Your mom almost killed our baby," and he immediately began questioning the events that led me to that conclusion. He said the owlet sock could be dysfunctioning. Maybe my anxiety woke me up and made me believe that our daughter's oxygen levels were dropping. I packed my bags myself and my baby and left to a relative's house. I thought my husband would be on my side, but because his mother told him not to indulge my tantrum, he hasn't come to see us once. It's been 3 weeks since I left. I don't even know what to think or how to feel, but I do feel betrayed and hurt. I've been best friends with this man for over 12 years, so this is really a new side of him that I've never seen before. Any advice for a new wife and a new mom? So before I go over some of the comments that are giving advice to OP, I do want to bring up something called survivorship bias. And if you've seen this image here of this plane, you might already know what I'm talking about. This image here has become a bit of a meme or an in-joke, and what it shows is planes that would return with bullet holes in these directed areas. Well, because there were bullet holes there, obviously these are areas the planes are getting hit. So they armored the areas that had bullet holes, not realizing that the areas that didn't have bullet holes were critical. When this tactic obviously did not work, they consulted Abraham Wald, and his conclusion was to armor the areas that did not have bullet holes, and planes began returning at much higher rates. Survivorship bias is the idea where you only gather data and extrapolate from the ones that return, the ones that survive, the infants that made it through being buried in blankets, the mothers who got lucky, and now believe they know more than a practicing pediatrician. Just because it works for you doesn't mean it'll work for everyone else. And that's the concept of survivorship bias, just put plainly through a representation of airplanes of all things. And for those of you who are audio-only listeners, just Google survivorship bias and you'll find the image that I showed up on screen. Now on to the comments. Forward attention 940. He needs the 2-card choice on this one. Divorce lawyer or couples counseling with a dash of mother-in-law leaving your home. He'll never listen to you if she's around. The fact he can't even agree she shouldn't be coming and taking the baby from your room is very questionable. Part of me would want to find a number of articles about babies not sleeping, how mother-in-law is doing it, / safe sleep, and also finding as many news articles about a baby who has died. I'd print them and put it all in an envelope and post it to your husband. OP responds, I wish I could say he's ignorant to baby safe sleep methods, but he's been with me to every workshop, seminar, panel, and pediatrician visit. He knows all the information I do, but he still lets his trust in his mom override all of that. I know I have to do what's best for myself and our baby. I hate considering divorce because, like anybody with a loving history with their husband, I'm having a hard time coming to terms with the facts of what happened, even though they're right in front of my face. We've been best friends for over 12 years and married for just under a year. It doesn't feel like the same person I've known for all these years. The person I'm seeing for the past few weeks is a person I don't know at all. Commenter Madam Min, 88, comments, I suggest you book an appointment with your pediatrician immediately and tell DH that either he attends the appointment or sees you in court. If he attends, then tell the pediatrician everything that bitch did and how he allowed it. Also, tell them that the husband and mother-in-law are accusing you of being mentally ill when you're just trying to protect your baby. Then sit back and watch the pediatrician give him a lecture he'll never forget. Also, ask the pediatrician to put this on record, in front of husband, in case your child should require protection from these people, and to show your husband that you're not messing around. He gets his mother out of your house, gets therapy, and takes parenting classes. His mother never gets unsupervised time with your child again, and may not even hold her without your permission. If husband does not comply, then report to the pediatrician anyway. Don't go back to him, and contact resources like CPS, police, and an attorney to try and get emergency sole custody on the grounds that he and his mother committed reckless endangerment against an infant. Police might not be able to do much, but it's important that you use these resources to create as much of a paper trail as possible. Also, contact domestic violence resources to see about getting somewhere safe to live long term. Remember, no matter how much you love this man, he's a threat to your daughter's life now, and you've got to put her first. Good luck. Before we get to the final update, I really just want to implore that if you're having any issues with a mother-in-law or things are getting nasty, don't hesitate to visit Just No Mother-in-Law or the subreddit here, Mother-in-Laws from Hell, because they will give you advice on how to deal with things. They're not here for the drama, they're not here to egg things on, they're here to give you as much support and help as possible. Now, the final update is that OP has since posted on their Reddit about being a single mother. They have posted several times that they're avoiding giving any of their husband's family contact with the infant for their own safety. Unfortunately, though, they seem to be labeling it as their own paranoia, which is a bit unfortunate. They've been led to doubt themselves to this extent, but OP is doing everything they can to keep their child safe, and taking the steps necessary, despite them being hard, to move forward and to give their child a good life. Daisy's on my neck. Mother-in-law put a tracker on us. I knew eventually I'd be able to post something here without the whole story as to why she's a mother-in-law from hell. Basically, we told her we weren't going to her Mother's Day event this year, since we had already bought tickets to the zoo for our own little family. She was, of course, very upset. After our zoo trip, I got a notification on my phone that said another iOS has been tracking my location with a nearby AirTag. My husband located the AirTag in our car. The iOS is the same as hers, and it's the same Apple AirTag with the cover that she keeps on her own car keys. She must have sneakily placed it in our car when we told her we wouldn't be there for her own last-minute-ish Mother's Day event that she expects everyone to be at, just to make sure we were really going to the zoo and not ditching her for my own family. Or, God knows the reason why she does this when she has 3 other grown-ass adult children to harass. I honestly don't expect anything more or less from her. I just thought I'd share here, and you can hopefully chuckle at her tracking her son and daughter-in-law's whereabouts as if we were teenagers, planning to run away from her. AirTags are both a blessing and a horrendous curse. It's great to know where my car keys are, but also the fact that someone can just blue tack one to my car and call it good? Not fun. Also, if you do have an Android device, I think Androids by default can now actually detect an AirTag, but you can also get apps and whatnot to actually see if one's nearby and potentially tracking you. So if that's a fear of yours, there are solutions to that. I am also happy that when Apple did release the AirTag, they had the foresight to actually think, you know what? Bad actors can definitely abuse the shit out of this, so let's make sure we have a way to make sure that people are safe. I would say good on them, but you can't just release locusts into a field and then sell the farmer locust repellent. Striking Nobody 362. Threw herself in front of our car. Truly unsure where to start. We're both 30 and have been together 5 years. For starters, my husband's family, not even just his mother, though she is the worst of them, and I will absolutely not be referring to them as my in-laws, are absolute monsters and have made my/our life miserable from the beginning and my husband's life traumatic for forever. However, all context is honestly beside the point of this story. This can stand alone and be just as messed up. So here we go. My husband got in an argument with his 4 siblings about 2 months ago for trying to put some healthy boundaries in place, which is something their family has never done. His sister absolutely blew up on him and told him he has no spine. They hope we get divorced, etc. And my husband stayed very contained and tried to just reiterate why this boundary needed placed. That got him nowhere. None of his siblings responded, and he hadn't talked to them in the 2 months since that. His parents knew nothing about this. Fast forward, their family Christmas was yesterday. We showed up with gifts for everyone, including the kids. Fully non-confrontational, just trying to operate with maturity and show them we're not trying to pick a fight. We walk in, and one of the children says, "Why are you here?" Great start. I wave at everyone, to which they all look at me, and then immediately look away. No acknowledgement. His mother walks up and hugs him, doesn't even look at me, and walks away. Which is pretty standard for her, to be honest. We stay for about an hour, having been acknowledged by nobody. My husband finally decides that's about enough, and gets up to give everyone their gifts. Very contained and very politely. He hands them all out, tries to joke with one of the kids, and then tells his mother thank you, and that we're heading out. She says, "No, you're not." Oh boy, here we go. He says, "Yes, we are. Thanks for the food, we'll see you later." She then makes her way to me and says, "You're not fucking leaving." To which I kind of just looked at her wide-eyed. My husband and I walk outside and she follows us out, screaming at us at the top of her lungs, "You're not leaving! I invited you into my house!" Etc., etc. We quickly made our way to the car, thinking that was uncomfortable and inappropriate, but now we're in the clear. Right? Wrong. They live on a one-way street, so to get out of the neighborhood, you have to pass their house again. We start driving, turn the headlights on, and there she is. She ran out into the middle of the street in front of our moving car. My husband slams on the brakes and starts reversing, to which she runs up to the car and puts her hands on the hood. My husband puts it in park, opens the door to tell her to get off of our car. She comes over to his door and pulls it open with her full body weight so that my husband can't close it. At this point, all actual hell is breaking loose. They start screaming at each other, and at the point that I realize this is really bad, I get out of the car. Most of what she was screaming was directed at me, about how I've ruined their family. I don't even try to get them to like me. I'm the only person my husband's been with that doesn't even try. And I'm so cruel. I left Thanksgiving without telling her goodbye, which is because she got mad at something and legitimately ran away from the house, so I was just violently uncomfortable, etc., etc., etc. After about a minute, a few of my husband's siblings came outside, but don't really say or do much. His brother tries to intervene without success, and she's just screaming, while my husband screams back trying to get her to stop so we can leave. Then, the best part. She comes at me. She's screaming with her hands less than an inch from me. And up to this point, I haven't said a word or done anything other than telling my husband to go get in the passenger seat, to which she said, "This is your fucking fault." She's screaming at me, finger in my face, probably 2 split seconds away from hitting me. I'm standing there, hands in my pockets, saying nothing, just watching her behave like a gorilla, and admittedly, smirking a little. At this point, based on my lack of reaction, my husband physically tries to restrain her and says, "You do not want to do this, she will fuck you up if you touch her." Her brother also tries to get her to stop, but she is combatively trying to get away from both of them to get at me. By the grace of the universe, a car starts coming, and we literally have to get out of the way. I get in the driver's seat, my husband in the passenger, and we get away. We haven't heard from any of them, but have decided to cut contact, which I hope is not too rash of a decision. Let me know if it is. We did notice that his siblings deleted me on all social media, so that's cool. Still not sure how any of it's my fault. I'm very introverted and his family is not, and apparently that's the root of their issue with me. Any comments or advice is welcome, and congrats if you got this far. So if I were to guess, the root of this being the introversion is not the catalyst of the cause, but it is kind of like a straw on the camel's back. That with the comment of the sister-in-law telling the husband to grow a fucking spine. My guess would be is they kept doing things or coming over or encroaching on your space without asking or asking for permission, and when you try to draw a line in the sand, that's where this all started. The first thing, they were able to pin blame on you. User Blueberry Yogurt Cup actually has a beautiful breakdown of exactly what has all happened here. Quote, "Have decided to cut contact, which I hope is not too rash of a decision." She got physical. Why? Because you two didn't immediately stop trying to leave and comply with her demand that you stay. She wasn't done having everyone punish you, ignoring you and making you feel bad. So she wanted you to stay longer and feel worse. Horrible person. The whole group of them were complicit in emotionally abusing you two. Then she took it over the line. No contact is the most reasonable, healthy decision you can make at this point, especially as this is not a one-time incident where you might consider she's having a medical issue or something, but is a pattern of behavior for the whole group of them. Quote, "Still not sure how any of this is my fault." End quote. It's not. That's what abusers do. They DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. They do this to not admit that they did wrong, that their abuse is wrong. They do this to play victim and try to make us feel guilty and apologize to fix the relationship, because we know they never will. They do this to keep us stuck in the cycle of abuse with them, feeling we can't do anything else. But we can. It's not your fault. It's a false accusation. It's a lie. Say that out loud. You didn't make them shun you. You didn't make them be cruel. You didn't make her blow up and demand you not leave, when she could easily have said, "Okay, later." You certainly didn't make her chase you outside or get on the road to make a screaming scene for the neighborhood. It's her fault. It's the relatives that join her in her abuse. Abusers and their enablers will usually blame the person that sees the wrongs and objects. But you're right to object, and to change things for yourself by saying enough of this. Quote, "I'm very introverted and his family is not, and apparently that's the root of their issue with me." End quote. It's not. That's the only thing they could find to blame on you. It's another false accusation meant to make you compliant and trying to please and appease them. Again, it's what abusers and enablers do. They work to find something, anything, to blame on you. If they can't find something, they just make it up. Quote, "Because we left Christmas earlier than she preferred." The real issue is about control. Mother-in-law from hell wants it, and you two aren't giving it to her. So she's trying to punish you into compliance. And when that didn't work, she's trying an extinction burst. When that doesn't work, expect her to try something else, maybe flying monkeys or a health issue that might be faked. If she tries the self-harm threats, immediately call emergency to handle it. And do not let her get you to do what she wants with this. If it's fake, the professionals will know what to do. And if it's real, the professionals are the ones to handle it. So as a final note, and I have no issue admitting when I've had fault or when I've had fuck-ups, I've previously been an enabler in a situation like this. I've also had the tables turned on me and been the victim of this kind of abuse. When a situation like this starts and you're in the position of seeing someone act this way, at first you genuinely do believe it's justified. You think that, well, this person is my partner, my mother, my grandma, or whoever it might be. They wouldn't do wrong by me, so of course I'm going to side with them. But then they continue to chisel away. They continue to do actions that you feel uncomfortable with, but you do your best to do the mental gymnastics to try and justify it, to figure out how this is correct. But eventually, they've chiseled so much away that you can't anymore. So all you can do is just sweep it under the rug and begin to try and ignore it. But eventually the rug gets lumpy. You can't walk straight anymore, and you're just living as a shell of yourself and a lie in the guilt of you know you're doing something wrong, but how do you escape this? How do you get out of it? How do you get out of this without becoming the next target of this kind of abuse? I broke that cycle and dealt with the repercussions of that. I did everything I could to make amends with those who I hurt. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort on my end, but I rebuilt bridges that I thought I reduced to cinders and ash. Which, one of the reasons why I stayed as an enabler was because I was afraid that if I walked away, I would have nothing. And that I would be next for daring to turn my back. I was scared. My point of this is a message to anyone who feels like they might be in a situation where they see red flags in someone but are either afraid to walk away or don't know how to escape, don't know if they're able to. Trust me, that is a bridge worth burning. The connections to that island are not worth maintaining. And there will be a time where you're alone. You have no bridges connecting to you. But with time and effort, and if they're willing, you might be able to rebuild some of those bridges. But it's a strong might, and you have to be prepared for taking responsibility for what you've done to others. I can only hope at this point in my life that some of you will be able to learn from my mistakes and grow from them. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup. And you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.